Your application. I'd like to welcome everybody today to our adjustment meetings. We have two applications. My name is Stephanie Summers and we have Donna Gibson and Tim Nason on the committee. Excuse me. Does anybody have any conflict of interest or pecuniary interest that they need to disclose before we discuss either one of these?
No.
Tony, I'll introduce you. Tony, well, I can't even remember your last name, but I know you, Tony Simser.
Yeah.
Tony, welcome by Zoom.
Yeah.
If you have any questions, just let us know. So
Okay.
your first application we will review, which is a minor variance for a reduced lot frontage and a reduced lot size. It's a current smaller home on a larger home property, which I'm sure is quite old, and that's the way it was built at the time. So this is a severance application right in the village of Cardinal. I know I had an opportunity to visit it yesterday and I got to talk to Eric and he kind of went over where the severance lines and everything were going to be. And actually, I have no questions. I don't know if my committee members.
I have no question. I talked to him yesterday too.
Yeah.
No questions at all, relatively straightforward.
Yes, I agree. Relatively straightforward. Wendy, do you have any applications or pending things from any neighbors or?
Through the chair, we did not receive any comments on this application. I just want, sorry, my hand goes up. Chair, I just wanted to remind you because it's not listed on the agenda as an item to make sure that nobody from the public or we had any comments.
Okay.
No comments.
No comments. Okay, perfect. So there's no comments or concerns regarding the application for severance, Tony, on this application. So I'll ask one of my members of the committee to make a proposal.
Move that we accept it.
Donnie moves that we accept the application for approval. Can you hear me okay, Tony?
Yep.
Okay, seconded by Tim Nason. Time is about 4:04. I can't remember the time.
Through the chair, could you just ask, Tony, if you had any comments you wanted to share on the application?
Okay, sure. Thanks, Wendy. Tony, did you have any comments you would like to share?
Nope, not at this time.
Okay, great. No concerns. Thank you. So it's passed and it'll move on to the next step and we'll sign that. And I'm sure you'll hear back from Wendy or somebody from the township.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thanks for your time.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks. Bye.
Okay, we're going to move on to the second application that we have here. And again, so I'm Stephanie, Don, Tim, and if you could just introduce yourselves.
Hi, I'm Kevin Patrick, and this is my wife, Mary Claire.
Welcome.
I've never been to one of these things before. I don't know how it works. And
That's okay. It's pretty informal. I can lead if you want. And we do have one guest here. Would you mind introducing yourself?
I'm Edward Warren.
Edward Warren. Okay. Thank you for coming. Okay, so is there no conflict of interest or pecuniary interest regarding this application?
I do.
Okay. As we go along, I'll ask you for comments or your concerns regarding the application. Okay, thank you. And sorry, what was your first name again?
Edward.
Edward. Thanks, Edward. Okay, I'll just ask, would you like to make any comments first before we discuss it, Kevin, that you want to clarify or anything?
I have a few things here, and I see it's already in the package.
Okay.
I'm not sure if you've been through all the stuff, but so just to talk about I'm not sure what page it is in this book, but it's noted note number 1.
Okay.
I called it that, but just to touch on a couple of things.
This one.
We didn't think we were gonna have to go for a minor variance in the beginning. We thought we had lots of property,
Right,
and lots of place to situate the house. We had to get a slope stability report, and when it came back, we had to move the house much further back
okay,
from the water than we originally ever thought we would have to.
so you made that adjustment then,
Yeah, so with the, we had like, we had started it with a site plan, and then after the slope stability came back, it's the plan got adjusted.
okay,
And moved, the house got moved back to the 30 meters that the conservation authority was asking for.
okay,
So we still try to stay inside the border. And I have a few plans that, and one of them is with the environmental impact study. Where the site plan shows the house inside the lines, but we thought that, and everybody thought it said R2, so we thought that was residential.
right,
And then we found out that were rural,
rural, yeah,
and that sort of put the house outside of the new lines. So that's when we first found out they were kind of gonna be maybe in a little bit of trouble. We also I had to rearrange the house because originally we had the garage out by the street and the house was inside the property, and we just felt that the house was gonna be too close to our neighbor's place,
right,
so we've had to
juggle.
spend some money and flip the house, put the garage on the inside, house on the outside. So
I know it's classified as rural, but I think I read and Wendy can confirm, it is gonna have sewage and town water, both,
yes, it's already there. Yeah.
it's already there, okay.
While you're on that subject, just, it's, the property right beside you is not rural, is that correct, or, you know?
Right, it's residential.
Yeah, so you're the line.
If you look at the map there, with it, we're rural and nobody else around us is.
Right.
I don't know if that's it wasn't really a big deal to us until the lot line got a lot, further in.
Yeah,
That's sort of why we couldn't really, once we put the house and, we tried to stay away from our neighbor's place. We only have like less than 8 meters between where the corner of our place will be and, the lot line. So that's how we got to be here. In our neighbor's house, his place is very, very close to the lot line. And, actually his back deck is sort of part of it is on our property, which, we can't do nothing with this
no,
now, but that's how close they are to us. So we're hoping to have as much privacy as we could. And we're less than 8 meters from the front of the house to the lot line. His house is right on the lot line, so.
okay, so your application for what we're here to do today for the minor variance is really the setback on the property.
Yes,
And then reduce the setback to 3 meters, and I think it's normally 7.5.
Through the chair, the rules on it's 7.5 meter setback.
So we're here to really look at that setback and make sure it's feasible. I believe the Conservation Authority will look after the sloping.
mhm,
I think there's something we maybe have to do there, and that's there
right.
to look
Yeah.
after, so.
The front corner, actually, where our lot line is on the street. Another reason that we have to, we have to stay away from the water as much as we can. We want to stay away from our neighbors as much as we can, but on the very front corner of our property, there's a water testing station right on the corner, and then
Okay.
after that, there's a telephone pole, and then guide wire. So in measuring it, it's been 30 feet of, the corner of our property before we can ever even drive in a driveway.
Okay.
Another reason why,
Yeah.
And we are the last house on the street, and as of right now, the town doesn't, like where our driveway would be, the town doesn't even plow up to that point.
So I'm just curious, with the roundabout and just past your property along the river, is that township property or who owns this little piece of property? That's township,
The roundabout,
just past the roundabout along here,
On the river side, on the canal side. In the street.
township property?
Sure, that's somebody.
And what about on the opposite side by their property? There's a little V, that's still your property, isn't it?
yeah, we own it so far and then it cuts down to the river.
Okay, perfect. Okay, good. Any questions for Kevin or?
Just ask a question for the staff, and that's the required setbacks for residential zoning. Will this conform with those?
Chair, I think I double check that, but I believe it's 6.5 meter requirements up in the residential. No, for.
So, yeah, I thought it was probably still non-conforming even though it was residential, so
6 meters.
it's kind of a moot point. I mean, I think. Just maybe a couple observations. I think it is odd for you guys to be zoned rural.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, you're on services for the town, but I don't think it's really relevant to what we're.
I don't think so.
We're not concerned about it.
No, I think, yeah, so, I mean, from my
I
perspective,
agree with Tim. It's really probably should have been zoned residential, like if you're on services. Most of the homes in that area are not 6 meters back from the road. I mean, it's an older town, sure, right? Same as our village.
Yeah, and we did do some rough measuring as along
The street.
Sidewalk and
Yeah.
where it's fairly close.
Fairly close, yeah.
well, I think that non-conformances like that are pretty common because of the space to work with, and you have some very genuine issues with this, the slopes that you gotta deal with and everything else, so. I don't see any real, maybe a concern on my part for making that allowance in this particular case, because you're gonna be not changing the look of the street at all. Other houses are something right on the street, and you know, you just need to fit it in how you can. So from that perspective, I guess I have some questions about the deck. I know there was an issue with the deck being built out past the slope.
Yes,
Has that been resolved, or where are we at with that?
well, I thought it had been resolved. The Conservation Authority asked me some questions that I didn't really not understand. I went back to the engineer and he was talking about access for equipment in case there was erosion that needed to be fixed or repaired. And I wasn't sure if he was talking about erosion around the house or erosion at the riverbank where equipment would have to, you know, get down past the house to fix it, regardless of where the erosion is. The engineer came back with language I didn't understand as well. And he said that there was almost 5 meters for equipment to get down through, and he used some table to justify what he was saying. He came up with a number of 4.9 meters to get equipment down through there. And the Conservation Authority, when I read what James Holland was saying, he was saying that the ministry recommends 6 meters. So he didn't say that because we didn't have the 6 that it wouldn't be approved. He just said that they recommended 6, and our engineer was saying at least 4.9. He's returned now with another thing. I don't know if it's similar. He's still sort of talking about the deck.
The way I read this package, it looks like the Conservation Authority is still looking for reassurance from that engineer that the setback from the slope is acceptable. And I think the language that was in there, unless I'm reading this incorrectly, the language that was in there was basically to say that you're not encroaching on the required slope setback, but you're in this like sort of cushion of allowance for. I forget what they worded. They worded it. Let me check here. The erosion access allowance is 6 million. Just give me a second here.
Backside, here.
There's a few terms that they're using there. Yeah, it's a safety factor. It's a safety factor that you're sort of within. And I guess the way I'm reading this, it sounds like the conservation authority is wanting more clear assurance from the engineers that this is acceptable. I maybe again, a question to staff, but I'm assuming that until, if I'm reading that correctly, that the conservation authority is going to ensure that that's dealt with before anything goes forward.
Through the chair, because of the steep slope and proximity to the water, the subject is, or the subject property is regulated by the conservation authority. And they said in the comments before they issue a hunting permit, they'll require building permit from both conservation authority and the township. For the conservation authority issues the building permit, they're going to want reassurance that either they have enough information from the engineer and the slope stability assessment, or the site plan is adjusted so that everything is outside of the system. Further, like it's on page 43 and 52, where it talks about the erosion hazard limit and how it's calculated. Where it is the erosion hazard limit is total erosion allowed, it can move into the air, the table flow allowed, and erosion access allowed. And the full erosion is developed, so if you have a total erosion allowed of 0, the table flow allowed is 1.9 meters. And it is the erosion access allowance that the ministry standard is 6 meters. And that's so that equipment can access the house in either repairs or during any kind of construction without encroaching onto the safety setback.
And so I guess that's the question is that either that's going to be acceptable to conservation authority or there'll have to be an improvement to get that back up to 6. But either way, that's going to be dealt with, whether or not we improve.
That's right. Even if we approve, it could be stopped.
You got questions, Ed?
Yes.
I do. I'd like to know where, well, we're all talking that it's more house than what the property is actually. Because we're moving it back, we're already concerned about how close it is to the top of the hill for equipment and whatnot. We're trying to put too big of a house on that piece of property, as far as I can see.
I'll have to ask the township staff, Wendy, there's only a certain portion of the property that can be covered, and I don't know if that's in there. Does it say?
Like my worst
Percentage.
grass, like can we build a house on a property and not have any lawn whatsoever? Because we're getting so big,
Yeah.
that's what's gonna happen.
There,
My concern is parking. The man has got 3 vehicles, he's got over 60 feet of boat. He's got a work trailer, and you can see what's there. For 25 years now, I've had an ongoing kind of battle with him because he parks on the street and blocks our view from our deck to the river. And I started off just asking if he could park on his own driveway, and I've always been told, no, he didn't have room. I've had the township, I don't know how many times, Tom, last summer, when Mr. Buffett came, after a few visits, Mr. Buffett said to him, why do you have to park out there and block their view? We do it to piss the warrants off, excuse my language. So I want to know where he's planning on parking now, because I can see an ongoing battle with the traffic that goes up and down the hill, which won't affect me. But I can still see that battle because he's going to try and control that traffic. Yep.
thank you for those comments and your concerns. I'm just gonna ask Monday, has there been any through the township complaints about parking over the years in regards to this area?
Through the chair, I wouldn't be able to answer that.
Okay.
Yeah. So I don't have access to the information.
Yeah, Kevin, I'm sure you are aware of the ongoing, have you thought of something? But going, no, but
Yeah.
I could.
I'm just saying.
yeah, if we can just, and maybe respond with what your plans are for your parking. if you
Well,
can.
I mean, I've never said to the bylaw officer that I'm doing it to.
Who did then, Kevin?
I'm just trying to respond, and if you would please let me finish. This, The boats, the 60 feet of boat is not 60 feet of boat. I have a boat that's 25 feet long. The son has one. He hasn't had it his whole life. He's about to sell it. He almost sold it last year. The boats are parked on this property
Mhm.
and in a laneway. And he can't see the boats unless he walks down the street to see them. They don't affect his view.
That's our Park Street.
No, never. Boats are in the driveway or they're on that lot. You probably, if you do.
I do.
Anyways, we do sometimes we park, on the street. We come down the street, we're a dead end street. We have neighbors on the corner that come every month, maybe for the weekend. We have the house beside us, it's basically been sold, and those people haven't showed up in a year. We're the only people on the street. Sometimes we drive down the street and we park on our side of the street, but we face the river. And Ed calls the bylaw person to come down and ticket us because we're parked on the wrong side of the street.
So the bylaw, you have discussed this with bylaw.
Yeah, so we just say, we just came home, we're parked here for a few hours. And then he'll say, can you not park on the other side of the street? And then if we park on the other side of the street, we're parking in front of his place on the lot, on the yard where he cuts. So we don't really want to park on the other side of the street where he cuts. I mean, we're not controlling any roads or any traffic. We're just here to help in our areas.
And unfortunately, sorry, I,
Ed, where is your house, the next one to it?
No, I'm on the west side of this, from the west side of Park Street, parking on this. It's in the picture.
You're at the corner of that next street and Dundas?
I'm on the corner of Park Street from Dundas, on the west side.
Okay, on the right side.
I know, the west corner, not the east.
Oh, must be up here then. Oh,
that's kind of weird.
I am here representing Glenmore Valley as well.
Where's this Glen live?
It is
In that house, that's
right beside the lot.
right beside the driveway, which is sometimes vacant, which is sometimes or mostly vacant. He rents it.
Yes,
Okay. I know we're here to, assess the situation, listen to everybody's concerns. I did not look up the parking bylaws before I left. I mean, I live in the village too, so I don't know, can you stand on that?
Through the chair, parking requirements for the site, for a single dwelling, you're required of one parking space per dwelling unit, and they exceeded the space that they need for
2 or 3?
it looks like they're not, the spaces aren't identified. They have a garden, I can see within more than one.
This driveway is 3 times the size of the back this.
So the regulations for the building and the proposed has enough parking spot as per the official plan.
Frankly, unfortunately, I don't think that what we do here, it can address the issue of parking on the road. So what we can do is assess the proposed plan for the house, whether it conforms or what, what the proposal is in that regard. And I don't know, I mean, maybe I would talk with the staff that's here. So I say maybe talk with the staff that's here about ways you can address your concerns, but unfortunately, I don't think what we're considering here is really. Yeah.
Because as long as the application follows the guidelines for parking and space and lot coverage, then as Tim says, the parking would go under another authority. And he does have the parking available on the plan. Any, did you have a question, Don, there?
No, fine.
Ed, any other questions regarding the property itself, or? I know you mentioned coverage, and there is a coverage that is required, and is it within, sorry, I should look that up. That's probably here.
Answer that, if you'd like.
There's a, it's probably in this pile or something. Yeah, that's easier.
But it's on the two, it's like kind of the lot coverage in the rural zone, the maximum lot coverage 20% and the area covers 10.6%.
10.6, so well under, okay. So that's good. Well under the coverage of the lot. Okay. Any other questions, concerns regarding the application? Anything else you would like to add? No? You're good. As good as you can be.
Can't hear you.
Wendy, anything else or? Okay, well, if we've had a good discussion, we need a move to, this is for the frontage. You'll have to address the slope of the deck outside. If we approve the adjustment, then that'll go through, and then the other will have to be looked after separately.
I will move that we accept the proposed minor variation.
Tim so moved, second. Moved. All in favor, that's me. Wendy, I'll type things up, we'll get them signed, and then it'll go off to the council for review and go from there. And then there'll be the next steps.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. And thanks for coming. I know, thanks for being here. It's now almost 4:30, and I'll deem this meeting closed. Thank you, everybody, for attending.